Good evening, everybody. I hope that everybody's doing okay. I would apologize right away because, as I mentioned before, my voice has been a little rough, and that was the big reason I've not been able to get anything out this week because it's a little difficult to talk like that, and it's also a little probably not fun for you guys to have to listen to me tell stories in a voice like that. And right now, my voice is much better than it was during the week. So please let me know how you guys are all doing. I see a couple people in the chat already. So let's say some hellos. Um, hello, Mankowski. I hope that's how to pronounce that. Hello, Chimera Cat. Hey, AP. Hey, John. Hey, Claire. Hey, Stargazer. How am I doing? I'm doing great. Hope you are too. Hey there, Dan. Hi there, Dan. Um, hey, creepy clown girl. It's great to see you. Yeah, I'm gonna apologize right away because tell again, my voice is still off. So it still sounds sexy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna probably be taking quite a few drinks of water while I talk, just so I don't sound terrible and scare you guys away. But I appreciate all the kind words and everything. Now, I'm going to do a couple of stories, old stories, as we go along. And I hope that you'll enjoy those. I do have quite a few stories to tell you in regular videos. So I have a country video all written, ready to go. If I can get I think I have some cough drops or something. If I take them, I can get it sound a little bit better. I'll get that recorded. And the other thing would be I have some winter stories coming up. But for those who don't know, that has heard the news yet, I will be doing a video on Christmas Day. It'll be a 3-channel video, so it'll span 3 channels. It'll be me, Mortis Media, and Being Scared. And we're going to do, I guess we decided on 10 videos each. So there'll be 4 videos, 10 songs. We do songs. See, I'm really out of it. 10 stories each. And it'll be 4 stories by me on my channel and 3 by each one of those. Hey Brett, hope you're doing good. And hey there, Batty. Yeah, I can actually hear the roughness in my voice myself more so I can feel it. I don't feel sick or anything. And when I got sick and kind of ruined my voice by having it done, I wasn't really sure at the time. I wasn't really feeling sick as much. As though it was a bit of a surprise, but it was pretty nasty, and that kind of ruined my throat quite a bit. I don't think I've ever had strep throat before, but I would assume that it'd be much worse than the way my throat feels right now. So I could say I'm pretty happy that I have not. Stargazer, I mostly like Home Alone or Intruder or Stalker stories or dog stories. I will try some, probably some Home Alone sort of stories. I like those too. So start looking for some of those. Oh, hey everybody, Mortis Media is here to say hello. Maybe some tea might help. It should. I will probably grab myself a cup of tea right after this. Uh, Start to wonder what kind I should have. I think I have Earl Grey. I have Sleepy Time tea, and I have I think I have this antioxidant green tea. I'm not really sure. The cats might have knocked it around somewhere. If I had strep, I would know it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had it before, and I think it's something that you can't, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it something you really can't get over on your own? Perhaps you have to uh, have some sort of antibiotics or something. I don't know. My brother had it when I was a kid, so I remember that. But my wife would probably say green tea or chamomile. Well, sleepy time tea is green tea, I guess. Um, I don't have chamomile, but yeah, Earl Grey is my favorite tea too. I I tend to not. I tend to have it. Martinez, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. I hope you get better soon. Love your videos. Well, I hope that I get better soon too. Mostly so I can uh, put out the videos, and I'm not going to sound like this in the videos, so you can enjoy them very much. But we definitely appreciate the donation. Thank you. Hope you feel better soon, my friend. Much love to you. Much love back to you, Stargazer. Glare Ryan, put some honey in it and lemon. Well, we have honey. I guess I can. I usually it's my sister's honey, but I'm sure she might not mind me taking a little bit for a cup of tea. But especially because if I want it anyways, I take it. So, but yeah, I'll try that right after here, right after we do this. And I want to thank everybody for putting up with the sound right now. If I can hear it, I figure you guys can hear it too. You're a good guy. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that very much. Oh, well, thank you, creepy clown girl. I appreciate that very, very much. Interactive horror stories are good too, where the readers have to make decisions. You know, I had wanted to do that once. I had looked into thinking about that. Uh, to do like a choose your own adventure sort of story, but I'm not 100% sure how I'd ever accomplish that. Mortis Media, we'll get soon, buddy. I've got a pop. Would have loved to stay longer if this started earlier. Oh, sorry. I only woke up about 20 minutes ago, so uh, I had problems getting to sleep until, and didn't really fall asleep. Didn't really feel like I could fall asleep until 3 o'clock. That's why I kept pushing it back. But thanks, Mortis. You have a great night. Sleep well, and uh, I will talk to you soon. Everyone say goodnight to Mortis Media if you can. Okay, so that's kind of what my week, my day's been like. Um, of course, our landlord came by, and that might have been a reason why I didn't fall asleep earlier when I really wanted to. Um, a visit by the landlord is usually pretty good because our landlord's pretty nice. He's always been a pretty cool guy, but usually he doesn't come around very often. So when it comes around, it means something. But obviously, it didn't because he has a lawnmower that he keeps in a shed by our house, and he was just coming to pick it up and get it serviced. So it wasn't a big deal. But my sister was out talking to him. I was like, "Oh, great, the landlord's here. I hope nothing's wrong." So we've been in this house for almost exactly 7 years. We moved in on the 21st, or I think the 21st of December in 2013. And speaking of scary stories, I think I've told this several times before, but to people who might have forgotten it, or for people who may have never heard it, we had a tornado in the very first night we were here. At the time, we had the collie and 4 cats, and both of our cell phones were getting the tornado warnings, and I, our house shook quite a bit, and there was a lot of noise. And it was really, really frightening. We didn't end up going down to our basement, but we had got all the animals together, and we were prepared to. But by the time we were able to gather all the cats together, we it was over. So the tornado, of course, didn't. I don't know if it touched down or we're near us. Why our house was shaking? We heard all the noise and everything, and it was something else. Hi KSC, are you uploading a video tonight? Please do soon. If I do get a video up, it's going to be several hours before it comes up because I'm doing this. I'm doing the stream first, and hoping my voice. I did just wake up about half an hour ago, so my voice had been sounding a little bit better. Went to sleep than it sounds right now. So I'm thinking maybe after I'm up for a little bit, after I drink some water, maybe have some tea as was suggested, my voice will be better. And if it sounds better and I think that I can do a video that doesn't sound terrible, I'll get it out, but it'll still be several hours before that happens. Uh, but at the very least, it'll be out sometime in the morning. So hopefully look forward to that. If I have to record it very slowly so I don't sound terrible, I will do that. So, Stargazer, I've been one of your longtime followers and proud of that. Yeah, you have been around for a very long time, and I have noticed you, and I have noticed that, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you sticking with me through all this time. It means a whole lot to me. I really do like it when I see people have been around so long. It makes me very happy. So, I appreciate it. I also appreciate new people, so anyone who hasn't been around for very long, thank you very much too. So, yes, in a trailer. Unfortunately, I have never been in a trailer during a tornado. Now, speaking of tornadoes, though, I know I've told this story a few times, and I'm not going to go into the details because I actually wrote the story out, and it is in one of my videos. But if you haven't heard that video, I will tell you about what happened, which was really, really frightening. I was in a very strange time in my life, and during that time, I was 22 years old. I was in a relationship that I had been in for about 3 or 4 years at the time. And I've been in that relationship since I was 19 years old. We lived together, and I guess what I was feeling was that I really didn't. I was feeling cooped up. I guess no fault of my partner or anything. It was just I never had that 19, 20, 21 year old thing where you go out and you just party or you go to clubs and sort of live that sort of life. I mean, it's like I felt like I settled down when I was 19, and I shouldn't be settled down when I was 19, and we didn't go out and really do anything. So I had to all this kind of angst about being tied down at such a young age. And there was this commercial on TV at the time, it was there was this older man and his older wife, and he sits down. I don't know if it's, I think it's his grandson or something, who's young. He got all these piercings. Uh, Probably about 17, 18 years old. And the old man sits the grandson down, and he says, "Look, I know right now there are a lot of people who want you to go out and do things, but want to go out and party. But when I was your age, I didn't go out and party. I didn't go out with all these people. I didn't go out and cause trouble. I didn't go out to clubs. I didn't go out and do these things. You know what I did? I worked. I stayed home. I was responsible. And you know what?" And the young boy smiles and says, "You regret it." And the guy's like, "Every day of my life." And I always found I don't got the I don't have the words of the commercial correct, but basically that was it. And that commercial just stuck with me. And I thought, I don't want to be 60, 70 years old looking back and saying, "Hey, I regret not living when I was younger." So I did a really, really bizarre thing, and in the middle of the night, packed up all my things into my truck, uh, grabbed my guitar, drove down to the train, took the train to Union Station, Chicago, bought myself a bus ticket to Florida. So I went to Florida, and oh wow, it was Daytona Beach, and I got to tell you that I had a really, really strange time in Daytona Beach. I don't know if anyone's been there before, but for me, it was a very powerful place, very strong place. I really liked it. I don't know, it's like I felt something when I was there. And I may have just been feeling what I was feeling from finally being free, but I felt there was something strong, some strong energy about the place. Well, when I got there, the first day was terrible. It wasn't very nice. But I started having fun, and me and my friend, he drove a motorcycle, and of course, I didn't know anything about that, so I was always in the bitch position, as they call it. But I had fun. We drive through some very nice places. There's this place called, I think, Bulow Park, I think it's called, and you drive through that area, and it's just trees, just like the road is like a tunnel created by trees, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And we would just drive through it, and so there are several scary stories that come out of this. One is a scary story, but it's a good scary story. We were driving through that area, and we saw something up on the side of the road. Now, the my friend who's from Florida didn't know what it was. He's trying to figure out what was on the side of the road. I, as we got closer, knew exactly what it was, and I was shocked. I was shocked to see it in Daytona, of all places, but I was felt so wonderful to get a chance to see it. And what I saw on the side of the road was a Florida panther. At the time, there were only 50 Florida panthers known to be out in the wild. So that was pretty awesome. What wasn't awesome is that as we were approaching the panther, the engine of the car, the engine of the motorcycle started to sputter. He thought that it was about to die right there by the panther. Fortunately, he was able to rev it up enough that it kind of popped back into. It didn't die because although it was nice seeing the Florida Panther, it would not have been nice to have the motorcycle die right beside it. You might not be seeing me or hearing me today if that had happened. So that was interesting. I'm gonna get to the tornadoes first, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the things that happened there because there are a few of them that kind of make me question a lot of things about the way things are today. Um, for example, as you know, I'm skeptical of paranormal things, but there was a few strange things that happened that could completely be coincidences, I guess, but they're pretty interesting coincidences if they were. Now, the first was there was this homeless guy who was a tarot card reader, and everyone talked about how great he was at tarot cards, la la la, and I didn't really think about it too much because I didn't, even though I believed in more spiritual things at the time, I didn't quite believe in things like that. So, but one day while I was by myself, the homeless guy, I mean, who actually generally charged $10 or asked someone to buy him something to eat in order to read their cards, but he didn't do that with me. For some reason, he just wanted to read mine. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. He was very interesting about it, but the the one thing that he mentioned to me, and as someone who now knows tarot cards, the final card that he read was the Tower. And the Tower is basically everything falls to pieces. I mean, if there's one card you really don't want to get in your tarot reading, it's the Tower. It's like a complete collapse of everything. And he told me that there's things that you're holding on to here. You've only been here for about a week. You wanted to start a new life here. That's not going to happen. Everything's going to fall to pieces. He says you will be able to recover, and once you recover, you'll be happy for it. But you need to expect that your life is going to completely collapse. And then he got this weird look on his face. He kept looking at that last card, and he said to me, when the time comes for the beginning of the collapse, you will know it because of this. You will see a strange looking dog, or what? He's looking at that card and he's looking really scratching his brow. A strange looking dog, or I'm also seeing a coyote. You'll see a coyote. Okay, so whatever. I want you to file that away because I'll get back to that. The other weird thing was when we went to see this tree. There's like, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest tree in Florida is, or the oldest tree maybe in the United States. I'm not sure, um, but it's a really old tree. It's in Florida, and we went there in the complete dark, and I kept feeling something sort of like he couldn't find it in the dark. It was dark. We couldn't see it, and I felt like something was pulling me in a certain direction, and that pulled me to the tree. Um, that could just be a complete coincidence. Maybe the tree wasn't telling me, "Hey, I'm over here," but at the time, I was feeling kind of like maybe there was some sort of connection there. But so the next part of the story that we're getting to, that is the reason I'm telling you a story to begin with, is the tornadoes. We were we did the weirdest thing. Now, he didn't have a great motorcycle. It really wasn't made for like going across the country. But he wanted to go to Detroit. Um, this is my friend. He wanted to go to Detroit. Uh, there was this woman there that he had deep feelings for, and he never had the okay. I'll just say he never had the balls to do anything on his own. He never had the balls to take a chance, and I took a chance by leaving my life behind and going to Florida. So if anyone was going to show him that you could take a chance, it was going to be me. So we set out on uh, the freeway, knowing this was going to take several days to accomplish on that motorcycle because we were probably going to be going 55 at the most the entire time. And so off we went. Now, the first day was interesting. But I'll tell you why it was interesting. The weather seemed fine at first. And it was sunny, bright. I remember driving up the freeway, looking at all the alligators on the side of the road. That was fun. A lot of alligators. I hadn't noticed them when I took the bus ride down, but yeah, I definitely noticed them driving up. We wanted to do our best to get through Georgia, but in the late afternoon, and this all took place in April, so the sun was not setting early. All these black and green clouds just completely washed in. Well, we saw them in the distance, actually. Since everything was so flat that we were able to see so far ahead. So we saw that we were driving into a big realm of covered in black and green clouds. So we drove into that, and suddenly it was all over us. And it was the nastiest looking storm I've ever seen. It was, I mean, and I love storms, so I don't really like to refer to them as nasty, but it was nasty. It was, once it was all over the place, it stretched in every direction that we could see. Uh, it turned a summer day in Georgia, or a spring day, but a very bright spring day in Florida and Georgia, into the darkest night. And it was only probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when it first happened, but it was pitch black outside. So we kept on driving through it because we wanted to see if we were able to get through it before it started raining. Keep in mind, we're on a motorcycle. And it got worse and worse as we got through it, and darker and darker. And then, as we got further and further, we started seeing the funnel clouds uh, up in the sky. But we were going to try our best. We stopped at the gas station because we needed to get gas, and he called his family to let them know that we were okay because they probably knew about the storm. His younger sister was a Wiccan, and she heard about the storm and said she cast a safety spell on us. Not something I really thought much about at the time, but she did it. So she told us that. And we got back on the motorcycle and we went. And it started raining. And that rain, I will remember it to this day. That rain hurt. It was like little knives hitting me. And I had on a thick jacket. But it hurt. And as I mentioned, the funnel clouds were going above us. We saw them, and it was pretty scary. And I really didn't know what we were going to do. And I kept telling him maybe we should stop off and get a hotel somewhere. He was against it. Then we saw this exit. And nowadays, this has been a long time. I don't remember the name of the town where the exit took us to. But we skipped that one. But after we skipped that one, we decided we would take the next exit. So we took the next exit. We got a hotel room. Got the motorcycle up on the porch so it wouldn't get destroyed in the rain. And got some food and got into the hotel room. We're watching the news, watching the weather, and this was the scariest part. The tornadoes that touched down completely destroyed the town that was off the exit that we first considered getting off. The one that we decided we're going to skip that one. So that town, everything in that town got destroyed by the tornado. So we were a bit surprised by that. So and very thankful that he decided to not take that exit because that was the one that I wanted to take. And who knows what would have happened to us if we had gotten off the exit. We may be fine. We may not have been fine. We may have been gone into a building that got completely destroyed, and we might have got destroyed with it. But that's not the end of the story. Because I told you there was one more thing that happened. Well, the rest of our trip was kind of uneventful, except one one night we stopped to get a hotel room, and he wanted to get some beer, but he couldn't find some beer, and I kept on telling him, "Well, this is probably a dry county. This is probably a dry county," and he's like, "I don't know. I've never heard such a thing." I said, "Well, dry county is a place that doesn't sell alcohol." Oh, that they can't do that in America. They can't. I said, "No, they can do that in America, and they do in very certain places. There's no law against you drinking alcohol in the dry county, but they just don't sell it." But no, I don't believe that. So finally, he went up to someone and buy alcohol, and she's like, "This is the dry county." So he kind of shut his mouth after that. But we made all of our way. We finally got to Detroit. And after all I did for this guy, after everything I did for him, helped him out. Again, without me, he would not have had the balls to even try to go on that trip. He wouldn't have been able to afford it. I paid for everything. I paid for all the hotel rooms. I paid for all the food, all the gas, uh, everything that we needed. The moment we got to Detroit, I didn't exist anymore. So I was there for a week. And then they were also in love and everything. And they decided they had to get rid of me. So I just decided, I'm just going to go back to Chicago. And what these lovely people did, the star-crossed lovers across the country that I brought together. The best they did for me was drive me to a damn Greyhound station. No thanks. No, nothing. No, oh, we'll pay for your ride since you did all this stuff for us. Nope, nothing like that. Absolutely, the only thing they did for me, and in the years since, nothing either. The only thing these ungrateful, worthless people, and I'm sorry to say that because I'm a nice person, but I hate these two people to this day. I have not forgiven them for this. All they did for me, the only thing they did for me was drive me to a Greyhound station. And I didn't do all the things that I did to get rewarded and somehow. I didn't really look for a reward, I guess, but I still felt like they could have appreciated it. And the thing, they didn't appreciate it because, like I said, they wanted me to leave, and did nothing. No thank yous, nothing. So they dropped me off at the Greyhound station, and I just sat there wondering, wow, what? Excuse my language, but what the fuck? And as I sat there, I looked up and I saw that there was a sign inside the Greyhound station with that somebody had painted or something, and it was a character of a greyhound, a really, really, really silly looking greyhound. And I just looked at it for a second, and I'm like, I kind of closed my eyes, I turned my head while my eyes were closed. Then I opened my eyes, and across from me was a guy reading a newspaper, and he was reading the sports section. And on the front of the sports section, there was the mention of a minor league hockey team that had just won a game. And the name of that minor league hockey team was the Coyotes. And then I just remembered at that moment the homeless tarot card reader who had looked at that tarot card telling me that I thought that I was getting a new life by this whole thing in Florida, but that it was going to completely fall apart. That I would have nothing at that point. Which is exactly what happened. Now, good coincidence, maybe. But I also remembered what he said when he was looking at that tower card. He said, "You will know that this stage of your life is over when you see a funny-looking dog." And looked back at that character that I saw, the weird character of the Greyhound in the Greyhound station that made me close my eyes because it looked so weird. Then he remember him scratching his head, and he said, after a funny-looking dog, he said, "Or a coyote?" And remember, I closed my eyes, and I turned my head around and looked at that newspaper. The minor league hockey team that won the game was called the Coyotes. Now, to this day, I'm very, very skeptical of the paranormal, as you know, but I'll never forget that. And it's not me having a false memory because I knew for a fact that this happened at the time, and it was so overwhelming to me. Oh, and I've never forgotten it, of course, because uh, of that. And yeah, it's kind of a very that was a very long story, but if you listen to several stories, I have told these stories on the channel, and in different pieces, of course. I've had contact once with that guy, my former friend, and basically the contact was him trying to be friendly with me, not apologizing for anything, just trying to be friendly with me. And I basically told him he better get down on his knees and hope and pray that I never see him again, because I do not forgive him for what he did. To this day, I do not forgive him for what he did. People, my mom once asked my sister about me holding a grudge, and she said, "Well, he hasn't spoken to Dad in all these years and stuff, and so if anybody can hold a grudge, it's me." And yes, grudge. I'm not giving it up unless I get an apology. I'll accept it. But basically, I told him he better hope he never. The way he treated me. I was younger. I was 22 at the time. So I said, I was younger then. I let it go a lot easier. I said, I'm older now. I resent you. You better hope I never see you again. And that's the last time I ever spoke to him. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with that. So, I a lot of times when I've done some awful things in my life, but it's I can get myself to a point where I always apologize to it, but nope, all this time, all these years, no apologies, nothing, and they're still together and happy and da da da, and but yeah. Oh hey Brad, nice to see you. Very nice to see you. And sorry, I had been, just so everyone knows why I was telling that story. I was reading everything that was going on there, so appreciate everything that said. And my name is Jacob Fox, as Chimeric had mentioned. Uh, when when she talks to me or sends me emails, she always says it JAC, which is completely fine. I usually tell people they can call me whatever they want. Stargazer, is your real name Jacob Fox? Depends on what you consider a real name. Is it the name that I was born with? No, it is not. But I did change it to Jacob Fox. So, but yeah, it's I don't really share the name that I was born with very often with people, and I'm not really going to do it right now either because I just really didn't like it, and it was my dad's name too. My dad just away, and please don't anybody. You don't have to say you're sorry for that because we were not close. We didn't really even like each other, and we hadn't spoken again, and probably we hadn't spoken in probably 22 years. When I was a teenager, I would live with my mom, uh, and that was it. We hadn't spoken, so but so don't feel sorry for him dying. It's not something that really affected me in any way. But my original name that I changed was his name, and I don't give that out. So I don't want people to look up or his side of the family or anything like that or bug them or anything because I don't really consider them much of my family anymore. Mostly my mom's side of the family that I consider. So that's why I did not say real. No, but since I know your real name and give you permission to call me Mark, since that's my real name, that's the name I was born with. Oh, happy. Thank you for telling me that, Mark. Whew, could get myself a drink of water here. Whew. Yeah, when it comes to the paranormal, I do everything on a case by case basis. I let everybody just tell me, show me what they think they have, if they have something. That's why I will do paranormal stories if people send them to me. I don't get very many of them. I really can't remember the last time. Well, I think it might have been, it might have been Cat sent me a paranormal story that I actually really enjoyed and I included on the channel. But I don't get a lot of submissions of scary stories. Or scary stories, yes I do. Of supernatural stories. I don't know if people don't submit them because they know that I'm a skeptic. But if that's the reason, I would say go ahead and submit them. I'll still read them. I don't. Okay, here's what I say about this. I take every supernatural or paranormal story someone tells me as itself. I don't set out to say, hey, you're believe you. I am pretty sure that with all the stories that I've told on this channel, and there have been a lot, as I said, it's approximately 1,200 at the moment. that every one of those stories, I could not say that they're all true. I could not tell you that I believe that every single. There are some stories, non supernatural stories that people have sent me that I absolutely do not believe ever happened. But I still read the story. I still take that person at their word when they told me that this story is true. And if I can do that with the people who tell non paranormal stories, I feel like I should do it with the people who tell supernatural stories too. So, how did I remember? Well, it was and don't take this the wrong way because I know that you some people have said this about a previous story reviews. It was a long and a very detailed story, and it was very easy to remember the stories that are longer, more detailed, and because I liked it. And not only that, if you remember, you got a lot of positive remarks about that story as well. That a lot of people found that they were really creeped out by it. But but yeah, it was a longer story, which I liked about it. I have not had a lot of really long stories in my videos, but that was, and also around the time I first started talking to you. Me and I have talked a whole lot since then, which is another reason. And I spend a lot of time with the stories that people send me. I have to read them first and decide if I'm going to uh, narrate them or not. I usually a lot of times I edit them. I didn't edit your story. I didn't edit the Shiloh and the Shadow of Sound story because it didn't need to be edited. The way you wrote it was completely perfect. So, but then I narrate them, so I read them, and then after I read them, I edit them, and after I'm done editing them, I listen to the edited portion one final time in order to make sure that everything is perfect and I made no mistakes. So by that time, I'm very, very, very familiar with the story. Mark, one thing I don't want to experience that some narrators talk about is sleep paralysis. Oh, wow. Mark has never had sleep paralysis before. I kind of wish I could say that. There was a channel, a very small channel, that I was a fan of, and he's tried to come back a few times. He never really made it very big, but I don't think it was ever his goal to do that. I think he was a teenager when he started out. He was called his channel. It's still in my recommended channels list. It was Basement Horrors, and he had a video once where he had mentioned sleep paralysis, or maybe I had a video. I'm not sure, but somebody had said, "Hey, I've never had sleep paralysis before. I really like to have it. Can you tell me how to induce it?" Well, of course you can't tell someone how to induce it, but he was like, "No, you really don't want to have sleep paralysis." And he's like, "No, I really do." And then so I cut it and said, "No, you really don't want to have sleep paralysis." And this guy was just convinced that he wanted to have it. And my thought is, anybody who has not had sleep paralysis and thinks they want to experience it will probably change their mind after they've had it. But it's something everybody I think has had. In fact, I think my sister hadn't had it before, but she had it recently for the first time. My mom used to have it all the time. My mom, when she was younger, suffered from severe migraines a lot. She would have sleep paralysis all the time. She would sleepwalk too. So she suffered from it a lot, and I suffered it a lot more when I was a teenager, like she did when she was younger. Um, I also had the migraines. When I have a migraine, I go blind usually, which is never fun. But yeah, I'd have sleep paralysis quite a few times. My brother also. My brother's sleep paralysis story is also a story that I narrated once. Probably my first sleep paralysis video. Uh, I He would start getting it before I got it, and I remember, but he didn't know what it was. So he would. My brother was a big guy, even as a kid. I was a small, skinny kid. He was big. He was always big, and my brother has always been maybe the toughest person I've ever known in my life. I mean, uh, in bad temper, scary strong. Could be not towards me, but could be horribly violent. And trust me, if my brother was around with me all the time, I always felt protected because he would always protect us. He was big and strong like that. But when we were kids, sometimes he would get up and come into my room and ask if he could sleep at the foot of my bed because he was scared. Well, we just found out later that he was suffering. Well, my brother had some other problems too, but he was having a lot of sleep paralysis. Um, One that he commonly had was he'd be in bed. And he had a desk in his room, and he would there was a chair pushed into the chair spot, I guess, on the desk, and he would see and hear a witch would be like under that area in the desk. She would be like holding onto the chair and looking out of the chair and saying, "David, David, come over here," and try to lure him over to the area. That was a very common one. So he would told me later, before he knew what sleep paralysis was, that the reason he did this was because there was a witch in his room. So, of course, as a kid, he told me that scared the crap out of me. But I think this that I always found that to be the scariest one. But the one that scared him the most was when we lived in Italy, and he was really young at that point in time. He had to only be 7 or 8 years old at the time. But he was in bed, and he was on his back, and he woke up, and he saw this woman, uh, like this snake woman, floating above him on the bed. And the woman said, I always remember the exact words he said: "Go right back to sleep, or I'll claw your fucking eyes out." And she had like these really long fingernails and stuff. So, Mark says the way you said David, David over here actually scared me. I've had a lot of practice with that one, so I've told this story a lot, and as I've told it over the years, I have gotten a little bit better about how I say that. Yeah, looking at everybody, I'm sorry, I saw a lot of comments there and stuff, but yeah, it 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 was very interesting. I told that story. I remember when I was a teenager, I have the best group of friends, and we would always parties, sleepovers, but we always called them poetry readings. I don't know why, but oh, I had so much. Sometimes we just sit there in the dark and all night and just talk and tell stories like that each other. It was very fun. I had a lot of good friends in high school. Just thinking about it's freaking me out. Well, fortunately, just thinking about it, Swamp Dweller never said I was racist. You're a liar. Sorry, Candy Morgan, but you are a liar. Swamp Dweller is a good friend of mine, and he never said any such thing. So I'm sorry that you feel a need to lie, but being that you did feel that need to lie, I'm going to get rid of you. Goodbye. See, I just really don't like liars. Don't like them at all. But I know for a fact that that is a lie. Me and Swamp Dweller have always gotten along. Even though I don't believe him in this instance, he has come into my chats and told me that he told me that he on time that I'm his favorite narrator. I don't really believe that. I think he was just being nice. But me and Swamp Dweller have always gotten along, and there's no way in hell, no way in hell, you stupid piece of crap, that my friend would call me a racist. So you can blow it out your ass, bitch. Better never hope to see you again. You are gone. And I hope you come up with another name and come back and say some shit about me again. Because I won't be as nice as I'm being to you right now. Sorry, everybody, about that. When it first came across, I tried to control myself. I tried not to lose my temper. But the longer I tried not to lose my temper, it eventually got out. I apologize. Do I think I can do sleep paralysis stories? Sure, sure. Those are usually pretty easy to find. Uh, Lots of people have them. I'll look into some, see what I can get. But okay. Thanks, thanks everybody for accepting my apology for that. It's I'm guessing my sister must be asleep. She might not be here, but she would tell you like that a lot of times. I'll try to hold the anger in, but it eventually always comes out. And I love you all too. I love you all too. Thanks. Now, what was I talking about before that? See, that's the one thing, and don't worry, that particular name is that particular person has been blocked not only from the chat, but blocked from ever mentioning anything on my channel or anything. So they are gone. But yeah, if hey, I love all of you guys. Every single one of you saying you love me. I love you back. You're great. All you guys are really nice. But yeah, I, I don't think anybody in the entire world that I have ever known has ever called me a racist. Uh, that would be very bizarre. Um, for anyone to even assume something like that. It I don't think I've ever said a racist word in my life that I know of. And I happen to have black ancestry, even though it's not very strong. I'm very proud of it. I've researched it, and I live in an area that is swarming with racism. Uh, I live across the street from a black church, and I say that because that's what they call it as well. And on Sunday morning, when all the churchgoers are going to church, sometimes I'll be out mowing the lawn, and not with a power mower because I wouldn't do that during church, but I got one of those old push mowers, and the patrons of the church will talk with me and laugh with me, and they'll tease me for using such an old mower. Well, that mower is old school. It's like, well, you know, I need to get out sometime to get myself some work. So, uh, yeah, that really bugged me. I've never in my life has someone actually, to my knowledge, said that about me, and it's completely and utterly not true. So I love pretty much everybody that isn't like that. I consider you a brother too, Mark. Thank you. You've been with me for a long time, and I appreciate that. You're actually a great narrator. Do have insomnia and rely on a few good narrators and really enjoy them, but you don't. But you just don't put out enough. Yeah, and I'm sorry about that. Uh, I keep on saying that I'm going to do more and put out more content, and then I keep on failing to do so because it's been mostly because of stories. But I have I do such I try so hard to make sure that all my stories are completely original. And that is why I sometimes this is why I get a lot of time between videos. Uh, Not only do I get the stories from people, but I listen to so many other people to make sure. And I think maybe that's my problem. I need to stop being so obsessed with the fact that I might put out a story that somebody else has. I may have happened once or twice, but that's the reason why why there's not a lot of videos. But I will tell you that I will try to do more. I actually right now I have about 7 stories that have been edited and are ready to be narrated. They are 3 of them are country stories, which will be out right away. The only reason they haven't been narrated is because of my voice. I don't know. If people who've been here for the whole stream heard how I sounded in the beginning. I don't know your opinion if my voice sounds better. If it sounds better enough to tell the stories, what I'll do as soon as the stream is over is I will go and I'll record those stories and put the video out. Now, keep in mind that between the point of recording them and the time I record them to the time the video comes out is usually about 6 to 8 hours. So they won't be out right away. But if everybody thinks my voice sounds better, if it sounds good enough to read, to narrate the stories, I'll go ahead and take care of that. Good Sativa. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yes, my name is Jacob. And yeah, it's very very nice. Very nice to talk to you. Your stories are great. I appreciate that. Mark says my voice is starting to sound better. Yeah, the reason I asked that because a lot of times when your voice sounds bad and you start talking more, it gets worse. And that's why I asked because I'm sitting here thinking that it could get worse, but it actually sounds better to me even so. So I'll probably go on with the stream for another maybe half hour. I'm thinking it's 12 o'clock here, so I'll probably go to 12:30. And the reason I usually like to go a little bit longer than that, but the reason I'll go to 12:30 is probably because I maybe then I can get the recordings done. The video will be out in the morning though, not tonight, but at least it'll be out. And those stories are written. Those stories are completely taken care of. They're ready to record. Plus, I have 3 winter stories that are ready to record too. So, although I won't do them immediately after, because I guarantee you, by the time I finish the video and get it out, I'll probably be kind of tired. So I would look for at least another 24 hours after that, and then I'll have some winter stories for you too. So don't completely hold me to that, but we'll see about that. You do know a few videos back, someone admitted they sent a story you read and also to another narrator at the same time. Yeah, I I don't know if I realized that, but uh, it happens. I ask people to not do that, but I don't hold them to that because it is their story. So it most of the stories don't come from submissions, though. I seek them out. I you know here's a lot of things, and I've said this before, but no one else still seems to do it. People say that forums are dying, and forums might be dying. I don't know, but the thing is that when I first started doing this, and I had to find a way to find stories, that's what I did. I went looking through forums, and I mean there are of course tens of thousands of forums still out there. So what I do is I find those and I look and I find people who might have a story to tell. And it say something like, okay, this is a forum about people who love nature. Can you hey, can you tell me something that's scary that might have happened to you when you're out hiking? And they tell me their stories and we work together to get them out for you. And that's why the stories are original usually, because I don't go to Reddit. My stories never come off Reddit. I put them on Reddit, but they don't come off Reddit. And they're usually people anywhere who decide they're going to help. But see, the funny thing, I think other people should do that. It's a little bit more work, and maybe I have a little bit less videos. But if they go and do this like I do it, and again, there are probably millions of stories out there that don't get told on Reddit and stuff like that. And you have to find people who just are willing to tell their stories. And it's actually, once you do it, it's pretty good. And I think I've been very, very fortunate in the time that I've done this that I've been able to get some really, really good tales to tell you. And I feel lucky whenever I have a good story because I know that it's appreciated. I'm going to read you guys an older story here. I was doing this last week, and I think I might do it otherwise a couple times when I do these streams. But let me see. I don't think I read this one to you guys yet, but these are I've been going through a lot of the older stories from when I first started, so this one's called The Walker. It was in a video that I did, I think back in 2015. So it would have been one of my first videos. 3 true scary stories that take place in the fall. It's The Walker. There are always some things that everyone associates with different seasons. In winter, everything comes back alive in the spring. You have snow in winter. Everything comes back alive in the spring. You play baseball in the summer. Most people associate cooling air and leaves turning brown and falling with autumn. Not me, though. I always knew that it was spring. I always knew that it was fall when the Walker would come back. The Walker was just a nickname that we gave to this guy who, you guessed it, he would always be seen going for a walk every day during the fall. He was an older man, but not like a senior or anything. Maybe in his late 40s. Starting on the autumnal equinox, the autumnal equinox, if I would pronounce it correctly, he would begin taking a walk around the neighborhood about an hour before sunset. He would keep this up until the winter solstice, and no kidding. I remember him from when I was about 5 years old, and it never failed. We never talked to the man. I never saw anyone approach him at all. He never even looked at us when when he came out for his walk. Of course, when you have someone like that in your neighborhood, both adults and children begin telling stories about him. People like to spread nonsense about antisocial types. The rumor about the guys ranged from being as simple as a man whose wife died in the fall to him being some crazy old war veteran. Among us children, however, the stories were a bit more severe. Some people said he was a child molester or a murderer. Some of the more imaginative kids thought that he was some sort of monster in human form. There was a very popular story among my friends that the guy was a werewolf who was depressed because he killed his wife and spent the fall days walking around the block mourning her. I guess I only give the stories as much validity as any kid would have, or any rational kid, meaning I didn't believe them. I guess I just thought he was a guy who probably liked the fall and went for a walk after he got off work. He probably didn't really like hot or really cold weather, so he didn't go for walks during the spring, summer, or winter. Everything everyone said about him was just them making up stories about someone they didn't know. When I was 13, my friends and I were playing at the park. It was in the fall. The leaves had been falling for weeks. We were playing some no-rules football in the leaves. Off in the distance, one of my friends noticed that the walking guy was coming in our direction. My friends began making all sorts of comments about him. They were calling him a freak, among other names. I told my friends to stop it. He was just a guy who went for a walk through the neighborhood in the fall. I told them to stop making fun of him. Of course, my friends took offense to this. You know how kids are. When you challenge their misinformation, they will definitely try and defend it. Basically, one of my friends said to me, "If you don't believe the guy is a psychopath, why don't you go up and talk to him?" I didn't really want to, but I guess that I really didn't have an excuse as to why not to. If I didn't go up and talk to the guy, then I would pretty much be like them. So I said I would. When the walker got close to the park, I slowly began walking up to him. I actually felt a little scared and wasn't sure why. I guess it was just apprehension about talking to someone I had never talked to before. Anyway, I walked up and gave him a smile and said, "Hey man, how's it going?" Quicker than I would have ever imagined was possible, the man grabbed me by the arm, and with the other arm, he pulled something out of his jacket and stuck me with it. My friends saw what was happening, and they ran towards the walker, yelling at him, and he let go of me and ran off. A couple of my friends threw rocks at him. When I saw what had stuck in my arm, I almost had a heart attack. It was a dirty syringe, and he had stuck it in deep. It scared the crap out of me. I had no idea why he did it, and I had to run home and have my mom take me to the hospital. And we had to call the police, too. Apparently, it was a used heroin needle. Fortunately, I didn't get any disease, although there were some traces of heroin in my system for the first time in my life, and the last time. And the guy was arrested, and we did press charges. You know, it's funny. When you try to be a good person, and you realize that those people, not being good people, were the ones who ended up being right for once. That was an interesting story, I think. Have absolutely no memory of that one, but yeah, It's kind of weird. Yeah, yeah. Stop picking on the guy. Stop picking on the guy. He's nice. Stop picking on the guy. And then they stop picking on him, and uh, and he pokes you with a needle. Yeah, Mark, it is a lot like um the Home Alone guy, but unfortunately, the Home Alone guy was nice, whereupon the guy that this kid met up with stuck him with a needle. Um, I don't remember. That's the story I don't remember. It's again, it was such an early time. Oh, you prefer summer? No, not me. I, I'm definitely not a summer person. It's my electricity bill goes up because I have to have air conditioning on constantly. I don't like hot weather, and going out and walking, you get all. I'm a heavy sweater, so I go out and walk, and I start getting all icky and stuff. So I'm definitely a fall and winter person, preferably winter. Uh, just the other day when I went out, it was very cold outside, and I was very happy to be out in the cold weather. I didn't have to wear a really heavy jacket or anything because the cold feels nicer to me. So, when I was a teenager, I would prefer really hot weather. But as I got older, I just started liking the cold a lot more. I think I had mentioned before that I had an ex who was in the hospital for 6 months in a coma in Wisconsin, and during that period of time, I lived in uh, Arlington Heights, uh, just right outside of Chicago. The hospital was in Madison, Wisconsin. This was in the winter time, and I kept driving back and forth. It's over a 2 hour drive there, 2 hour drive back every day in the cold weather. And I think at that point in time, I just got used to the cold weather, and I've always liked it more since. Well, see, the story got me weird. It's like, okay, say he's a heroin user, and I'm not really sure why he was carrying his needle with him while he was walking around, but hey, what do I know? I love the warmth the best, but love the autumn. Yeah, it was early this morning when I looked out the window and stuff, and I saw we had a really heavy frost, and I just liked it. I liked seeing that. It was nice for me. So, but and I think I'm gonna have to go back and get the name of that person who pissed me off earlier, and I'm gonna have to forward that name to Swamp Dweller, not because I think he ever said anything, but I'm gonna have to forward it to her to let him know that somebody is saying stuff about him. Because that wasn't just an insult to me, that was an insult to him. I didn't think about it right now, but yep, I'm definitely going to let him know about that. Just give me one moment here. Take a screen print of that and send that over to him. I remember the hospital story. It was good. Well, thank you. It was kind of heartbreaking too, but I remember it very much. Yep, I went back and I got a thanks, Mark. I went back and I got a screenshot, so I'll send him the screenshot. If it is a person that is a regular member of his channel, I think he will probably be happy to know it. Uh, Emmy Cats. I hope that's pronounced that right. Hey Casey and all. I think I'm finally here. Well, I think you're here too, and happy to see you. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys about the video that I will be putting out in the morning. Um, I read you guys a story from it last week called "The Swimming Hole." I don't want to really read another story from it because want there to be something new when you listen to it. But there'll be three stories. One story is about this guy who gets really, really, really drunk out in the country, and he goes out walking while he's drunk and passes out, and wakes up in the middle of the night and has a bit of a scary experience when he does that. And then there's another one that happened to a 13-year-old, and it was probably out of the three stories the one that I find the most scary. So that as it may, I'll put it as a third story. So you guys will have that to look forward to. But it is pretty freaky. But yes, let me talk about a couple things real quick here. Sleep paralysis stories. There was a lot of interest in that tonight. So if you guys have had those experiences and would like to share them, feel free to look in the video, get my email address, and send me any experiences you had, even if they're really short. And if I get enough of them, and even if I don't get enough of them, I'll make a video of it. I can always include some of mine that I haven't before. Oh, maybe I should tell some. Oh yeah, I'm definitely letting Swamp Dweller know, and I'm letting him know mostly because I took the screenshot, and also letting him know that I didn't believe him. Actually, let me phrase it. I didn't believe the person who told me that. I do not believe that Swamp Dweller would ever say that. But he definitely deserves to know if someone is going around saying that he's saying stuff like that. Because in a million years, I could not imagine him saying that. He's a very nice guy, and it's never been anything but super nice to me. But anyhow, yeah, if you do have sleep paralysis stories, email them to me, and I'd be happy to do a video just filled with them. If I get more, I usually do 3 stories in a video. Hey, if I got 10, I'll do 10 stories in a video. I'll pretty much do whatever you guys send me. So definitely send those to me if you have them and would like to share them. Now, trying to think of, there was a sleep. I'm gonna tell you this. This is kind of funny. This happened a couple years ago, I guess. I'm trying to remember now. It might have been about 3 years ago now, but I remember. I was started posting my stories, or the text version of the stories. I started posting them on Reddit. I got the Killer Orange Cat Reddit, which basically seems to only exist for me to post those things. I mean, if anybody goes there and wants to create posts or talk or anything, they can do that too. But right now, it pretty much is just me posting the text of the stories that I tell, and that's fine. But it gave me a really weird experience. That's happened a few times now. It's happened about 3 years ago. It happened on top 15s, and I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, listening to Chills, and he's like, I can't do a Chills impression and won't even try, or try a little, but he's like, number 13, Redditor, Killer Orange Cat, and I'm like, wait, what? And I'm in the room with my sister, and my ex is in the room, and we're like, what just happened? Did you hear that? And so I'm like, we have to take it back. Redditor, Killer Orange Cat. Oh, I'll stop 1 second to say, Nikki Knightley, I have to go to work. Have fun. Have fun working in the graveyard. And you have a great Sunday too. But back to Chills. Chills was Redditor, Killer Orange Cat tells of a scary story he had on Halloween, and I'm like, what the hell? Well, what his channel must have done was go to my Reddit and see that I posted the story, and they told a story that I told on my channel as if the story had happened to me, and they didn't even tell it very well. It was a story about a lady who had a migraine one day when they were during Halloween, and she was too sick to stay up, so she put a bowl of candy outside on the porch and told the kids, you can just take one piece of candy. Some people do that. And she went to lay down because she had a bad migraine, and she always suffered from sleep paralysis. So she thought she was suffering from sleep paralysis when she heard someone come into her bedroom, and he or she was looking around the room, and a goblin comes into her room. So the goblin comes into the room and does take some things and leaves. And she writes it off. Now, and when she wakes up, she has security cameras outside, and she sees the goblin that she saw leaving the house. And then, by leaving the house, she realizes that her house was robbed by somebody in a trick-or-treat costume. Now, the way Chills told it was that she was trying to explain the goblin the best way she could explain it. She said it kind of looked like a Gamorrean guard from Return of the Jedi. So Chills' channel doesn't say it's a goblin. She says that this girl thought she was having sleep paralysis. Not girl, actually. He said it was me. That I thought I was... excuse me. That I thought I was having sleep paralysis, and that I saw a Gamorrean guard come into my bedroom. And it's like, okay, first you mess up the story by... don't get me wrong, it was really cool hearing Killer Orange Cat on there. But then they mess up the story by saying that it happened to me, which it didn't. Then they say that it was me seeing a Gamorrean guard walk into my room, which was not the story either. And I'm just sitting there, it's like, this is actually mildly humiliating, because people started teasing me in the comment section, and it's like, no, first of all, it's not my story. Second of all, she didn't see a Gamorrean guard. That was just the best way she was trying to explain the goblin. And it's just like, fortunately, there were a lot of my viewers who saw it, who were like, don't say Redditor, Killer Orange Cat, say YouTuber. He mentioned me again a few months ago when his channel did the exact same thing. They took a story of mine off Reddit, assumed it was me, and told the story as if it happened to me. And but this time when they said it, he said Redditor and fellow YouTuber Killer Orange Cat. And then I think at the beginning of this year, Most Amazing Top 10 did the same thing. They found some stories on my Reddit and they told them as if they had happened to me. My response to every time a channel does this with some of my stories is I tell them, if you go look at my Reddit and you look at all the stories that are on my Reddit and you assume that all these stories happened to me, I would have to live the scariest, most unlucky life anybody could ever have. And no, no, Mark, I did not mind you telling Swamp Dweller, although I'm gonna tell him as well and send him a screenshot of what it was. So, and yeah, I appreciate you telling him. Sorry, says Chill's channel is a joke and has been for a while. I haven't watched it a lot lately anymore. Um, it used to be. It's all videos now, like top 15 scariest this video or scariest that video. It didn't used to always be videos. They used to be or they would say things that have happened to people. Tell not really stories, but yeah, the channel's gone downhill, and I have not really watched it. I really haven't really watched either of his channels in months, to tell you the truth. I but he's constantly putting video clips, pretending them as real, and you go to the original video, and the person that uploaded it literally says it's staged or faked. Yeah, and then not only that, he's also had videos put up that are uh that he thinks are fake, but puts them up anyways. I said I haven't listened to him for a while, or I say listened. I don't know, when it comes to YouTube, I always say listen instead of watched. I don't know why, but I haven't watched his videos in a while, which is too bad because he used to be part of my regular routine. I always loved listening to every new video that he came out with, so it was too bad that I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. What a scary life I must lead. Yeah, yeah. If all those stories happen to me, I have not put all of my stories up on Reddit, but there's got to be several hundred of them that are up on Reddit, and apparently according to other channels, all these stories have happened to me, and it's like, wow. I would say this: if all those stories have happened to me, Charlie Brown would have a luckier life than I have. And we know he's never kicked a football. He only gets rocks for Christmas and Halloween. He always gets hit out of his clothes whenever he tries to pitch a baseball. He never wins at anything. But yeah, Charlie Brown would have a luckier life than me if all those stories had happened to me. And to say that Charlie Brown had a luckier life than you is not something you really want to say. I used to have a Charlie Brown lunchbox when I was a kid. I really liked it. If I could find a somebody on YouTube, not YouTube, somebody on eBay or something that had that one, I'd really like to get it. I miss it a whole lot. I'm scrolling through some old documents, so maybe I can read another story, but for you guys, another old story. I kind of like doing that. Here's one. It's called The Driver. This is a story that happened when I was in the hospital about 10 years ago. I was at the hospital a lot visiting my boyfriend. Yes, I'm gay, and this is very important to the story, too. I'm sure it had a lot to do with what happened. My boyfriend had been in a head on collision. I'll never forget when I heard about it. My body went numb, and I even blacked out for a moment. Seeing him in the ICU in a coma was bizarre. He didn't even look like my boyfriend. It was odd. It was like whatever made Jamie be Jamie was gone. And I'm not even sure if I'm explaining it correctly. I was allowed to spend time with him in the ICU because I was his medical proxy. His family was severely homophobic, and we had worried that something like this might happen, and he knew his family would never let me see him. So we filled out the paperwork with our attorney, and it was established that I had full control over the situation. I, in fact, could keep his family from seeing him if I had ever so wanted to. But unlike them, though, I'm not that kind of person. His family was free to see him as often as they wanted, as long as I was made aware of the situation. They didn't harass me while I was there. Well, my control over the matter did not sit well with his mom, but Jamie and his mom had never gotten along anyway. But she would raise hell with the doctors about how Jamie was her son and how me, who she referred to as the fag boyfriend, was not a member of the family, and how they better get her consent, not mine, and update her first on his condition, not me. At first, this was just an inconvenience that I was willing to put up with. I even told the doctors to update her first on the condition just to make her happy. I thought Jamie would like to have his family there and aware of what was going on. But eventually the doctors told me that her arguing with them in front of Jamie, no less, was a huge distraction and that the stress could affect him negatively. So I tried talking to her, but there was no talking to that woman. I tried to be nice and let her know that I wanted her to be able to see her son, but that he had signed me as his medical proxy and I was in control of the situation and I had to do what was best for him. That was not going to change. I told her that she needed to quit arguing with the doctors and let them do their job for the welfare of Jamie. Why didn't you get AIDS and die, you stupid faggot? Jamie's mom sneered at me, and she actually said that, and that was it. I'd been patient. I'd been nice way beyond the expectations of anyone who would have been in my situation. I had her removed from the situation. I had her taken from the hospital, and yeah, it was terrible. She yelled and screamed and swore and called me and the doctor all sorts of names. She carried on about how I was going to hell for tempting her son and making him gay, and she was removed by security. Well, actually, police. And 2 nights later, I was leaving the hospital and headed for the hotel staying in. I noticed some guy who'd been sitting on a couch in the waiting area for a long time. He got up and started walking out behind me. He was pretty big and dressed all in camouflage, which didn't indicate to me anything other than he had bad fashion sense. But when he walked out behind me and into the parking garage, I started to worry he might be a friend of Jamie's mom. But I was confident he wouldn't try to do anything to me in the hospital. There were cameras and police officers there. I made it to my car and got in it, leaving the garage to go back to the hospital. It didn't take long before a pickup truck pulled up behind me as I was leaving the garage. Not only was it sitting awfully high up, but the truck had its high beams on too, annoying as hell. I made it out of the parking garage and turned left. The truck followed me. I at first thought it was nothing to worry about, but when I made it to a red light, I flipped on my turn signal, and immediately afterwards the truck turned its turn signal on too. I tried putting it out of my head, until the exact same thing happened at the next light. And again, I debated back and forth in my head whether this was all in my head or maybe it was someone following me. So I tried something. I turned on my right signal when I was going to make a left turn, and the truck then turned on its right signal. I then turned it off and then turned on the left signal and moved into the left lane. And the truck switched signals and followed me into the left lane. It was following me. I then made a turn that I didn't have to make. It turned with me. I in fact made 4 right turns, so I had gone in a complete circle and the truck followed me. I was terrified. I didn't live in that city. Jimmy had been airlifted there, and that was why I was staying in a hotel. I didn't know anyone other than the people in the hospital. I also didn't know where a police station was. I had no idea what to do except keep driving. It was very late, past midnight, so there was not a lot of places or parking lots that I could pull into. None of it mattered, though. When I was feeling most frantic, I came to another light and it was red, and I stopped. The pickup truck did not stop. It rammed right into me hard. My car died immediately, and I was startled and just scared out of my mind. But I'd been wearing my seatbelt and the airbags deployed, so I really didn't get injured very badly. The pickup obviously wasn't hurt as bad as my car, and the ass just drove off. What I figured that happened was this Jamie's mom must have had this guy ram me in the hopes I'd be hospitalized or something, and then she would get control of the situation. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and yes, the man was caught, and it was his mom's cousin. He went to jail for a hit and run. He had been following me, but I had no evidence of that, so it wasn't. He couldn't get a more serious charge. His mother swore up and down that she had nothing to do with it, but when Jamie recovered, he did not believe her. He cut her out of his life completely. It's been 15 years, and we haven't heard from her at all. This was all Jamie's decision, not mine. Fortunately, we're still together today. Now, I read that for a reason, actually. And the reason I did was when I originally read that story, the backlash was from a few people was pretty awful. But there was a person saying some pretty nasty things to me. Like that person earlier had said some nasty things to me. And he really mad at me for reading the story. And it's like, this person has a story to tell. Whenever I've done any of the... I know I've lost some longtime subscribers when I've done some of the Pride videos. And I did that video with Mortis Media, and someone unsubscribed to him for it. And he's like, okay, thank you for being here. And so it's like... he's always been a friend, and nice lad, but I don't know why anybody would think anything about me other than the fact that I'm telling somebody's story. But yeah, I got a lot of negative comments on that, and I'm just like, okay. Or I'm going to stop listening to you because you read that story, and it's like, well, that's your decision. Thank you for watching my videos up until this point. Weird, but... Also, Mark, I'm gay and 30 years old, just so you know, my brother. I don't tend to give out my age just because it's a weird thing to me. But thank you for telling me yours. It means one thing. Our ages are how many times the earth has gone around the sun since we're born. And I have absolutely the greatest friends in the... See, wonderful. Kelly Rogers Kane, I'm bisexual. Chimera Cat, sorry to hear that it's a great story. Some people just disgust me. Mona W, dude, I will share your channel more because you include everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do it, and I will continue to do it. I will continue to conclude... Oh my God, Patty Hoskins just came out as straight. Let's celebrate, everybody. This all thank her for coming out. That shows Patty, I love you so much. You've been a good friend, and you've been a good subscriber all these years. And I know what you just did was very, very brave. I know it's very, very difficult, very, very difficult to come out as heterosexual. And I think that what you've done is so, so wonderful. And I am going to run before Patty kicks my ass. And I wasn't making fun of you. I was giving you the same. Uh, again, I just tried to be fun. So Patty's gonna beat me up now, I think. And she has every right to do that. Every right to do that. I feel like an ass now, but I hope you thought it was funny as I did. And no, the age 31 in April. When I celebrated my last birthday, um, I put on my I put on my channel that it was it was my 18th birthday, and some people believe that, and I felt bad about it. My 18th birthday has come and gone. It was a long time ago, but some people believed it, and I had to like correct them for that. And I made Patty's day. Well, thank you. If I could do that, I that makes me happy. You've been a good friend. So it'll really be 32 in April. But yeah, I'm definitely not 18. Aries Leviathan sang a song for me on his channel, happy birthday song for me on his channel, saying it was celebrating my 18th birthday, which I thought was hilarious. My birthday is May 23rd. And yeah, I would probably say how old I was, but I've not been saying it for so long that I kind of like just continuing with it. So, clearly, I'm April 8th, and my daughter is April 27th. But you know what's really weird? My mom and my first cousin Angie are both born on the 21st of January. Now, my cousin Jason, who is Angie's younger brother, was born on May 23rd, just like I am. I always found that weird that um, my aunt's two kids share the same birthday as my mom and me. So, well, we are getting later into the night here. It'll be almost 1 o'clock here in a few moments. So, I am probably very soon going to go so I can go ahead and start working and getting that video fixed for you, the country video. I said it'll take some work, and if I want to get it out before I get tired and want to go to sleep again, I'm going to have to do some work. So, but what I would like to do before I do that is read you guys at least one more old story. And I just want to look through a couple of things here and find one. Okay, I'm going to just read this one without even knowing what the story is. I'm going through some old stories. I come up with ocean stories, and the story called The Motorboat. So I will be learning what happens with this story because I do not remember it. And for those of you who are listening or watching and seeing all those eyes there, you're going to see the eyes and hear the story. Mark graduated on. Oh, you graduated high school on May 23rd. I don't remember. I didn't actually go to my graduation. I always felt bad about it. So when I went to had my community college graduation, I made sure to go because my mom had wanted me to go to my high school graduation. I was the only one of her kids who graduated from high school. And my sister and my brother ended up getting their GEDs, of course, but who I was the only one who actually graduated from high school the regular way, and I didn't go to the graduation, and I felt bad about that for years. And when I went to college, I went in stages, of course, a community college, and transferred to a 4 year university, and then a graduate school after that. But I went to, I made sure that I went to my community college graduation when it happened because at the time I didn't know what was going to go forward in the future. I didn't know that I'd be going on to grad school afterwards. But I knew I'd be graduating from community college, and I did. And uh, I went to the graduation. I had quite a few honors, straight A's. I was a straight A, so a 4.0 graduate. I was what they call a trustee scholar, a faculty scholar, Phi Theta Kappa, all that stuff. And I felt by achieving all of that and going to my community college graduation that I was able to give my mom the graduation for one of her kids to go to and that she wanted to experience all her life. So I don't know. It was a big deal. My community college graduation, out of all the graduations, was the biggest deal for me because my mom got to finally see the graduation. Simply me. Oh dang, I miss it. I'm sorry about that. I'll tell you guys what I'm going to do. I'm right after this. I do this before I work on the video. I will schedule the next stream, and I'll put the stream up right away, so everybody will know what time it is, and they won't have to miss it. This one was done right at the last minute, so I'll put up the next one right away, so you know, so everybody can know to plan for it if you want to come here. So anybody who wants to see this won't miss it. Oh, thanks, Mona W. For, congratulations on Phi Theta Kappa as well. I was pretty happy to have been able to do that. So here's what I want to say to everybody. Thank you very much for coming here. I did get a donation earlier from Rafael Martinez, which I want to thank for very much. I am happy that everybody stuck with me when that person said what they said about Swamp Teller saying something that we know he didn't say. And after I read the story, I'm going to give everyone the Killer Orange Cat line and then sign off. So I'm going to say goodbyes to everybody right now. Thank you for being here. And I'm very happy that everybody who's come here and watched, everybody who's given me a like for the video, and just anybody who's had very nice words to say. I will still be up for a long time, probably tonight. So if you have anything to say, you can say comment on the video here because this will stay up. I can talk to everyone through the comments, and I will talk to you all hopefully very soon. Oh, great. So here is the story. It is called The Motorboat. I think the scariest things about the oceans is how much happens out there without you knowing about it and without consequence. That might not make too much sense, but it will make sense after you hear the story of what happened to me. I was out in a boat with a couple of friends of mine, Joe, Wendy, and Tom. We were out having a pretty good day, just enjoying the water. I don't want to give out the location, though, because the situation was just way too disturbing, and I don't want to draw attention to it. But we had gone out pretty far. Normally, we wouldn't stay out too long after dark, but we were having a good time, drinking and telling stories, and The sky was just so clear and beautiful. If you've never seen the clear sky at night out on the ocean, then I hope you'll get the chance sometime. When we were up on deck when a flash of light caught our eye. Tom went over to the side of the boat and shined one of the lights in the direction of the flash that we had seen. When he did, we saw something that really surprised us. There was a much smaller boat out there. I mean, this was a really small boat, like a personal motorboat, that you would really expect people to be using in more shallow water. It was quite a surprise to see such a tiny boat out. It was floating right in our direction. We tried to make contact with the boat. We figured it was unlikely that they were using radio, so we used our sound signal to blast 5 short and very quick blasts of sound towards the boat. The signal tells the other boat that you don't really know what their intent is. I mean, we didn't think they were up to anything bad. I mean, it was just a small boat. But it was just weird that such a tiny boat was that far out and apparently adrift. There was no response from the boat at all. We talked about what we should do. Wynn suggested we just leave it because whoever it was must have been up to something shady. But Tom and I didn't think that would really be a problem. Joe wanted to approach the boat, and although I was a bit nervous about the idea, I told him if he kept our distance, we could try to get a closer look at it. So we slowly started to approach the little boat. We shone our lights on it, but we were not getting any sort of response from it. Although the boat was pretty small, it was adrift, so we had to be careful. Even a small motorboat colliding with a much bigger boat like mine could cause some damage to both of us. I preferred getting close to it before possibly grabbing it with a beam if I needed to. I can't tell you in the right words how creepy it was in the dark, watching this small and adrift motorboat just slowly coming towards us in the water. We watched as it bobbed up and down in the waves. It was just a shadow on the vast ocean of which it was sitting. We pulled my boat up as close as I could, as close as I was comfortable getting to the small motorboat. We yelled over, asking if anyone needed assistance. There was no answer, but there was clearly someone sitting at the wheel. We told the driver that we were going to shine a light over there on him because we were concerned. This was a precaution so we didn't blind the guy. He didn't answer, and we went ahead and shone the light over in concern. And when we did, we realized that there was no way that the lights could have hurt his eyes. He didn't have any eyes. All this man had were 2 empty eye sockets, coated with dry and crusty blood. And he was obviously dead, too. Wendy wanted to just leave and get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't leave a guy dead on the ocean that way. We carefully pulled the boat close to us, and I went ahead and called the Coast Guard. It took a little while, but they came out and got the boat and took us in for some questioning for some reason. They were fine with us. They didn't really accuse us of anything, but they also didn't tell us much of anything either. I honestly, to this day, don't know any of the details of who that man was or what had happened to him. And honestly, I'm happy I don't know anything about him. I don't need to. I remember the looks of those 2 eye sockets as the dead man floated in his boat on the surface of the ocean. A lifeless and directionless captain on a dead vessel. I don't ever need to know anything else about him. Good night, everybody. But remember, most importantly, don't forget to make sure to check in your closet and check under your bed, because you never know where a killer orange cat might be hiding. Good night.